Us, Jan Mac, how are you? So we've got the globe covered in one fell swoop. We've got Croatia, UK, Canada. How are you? Thanks for coming along, guys. This week we're just going to cover a topic that won't take too long, but it's a very important topic, and that is the importance of understanding the 5 ranges. Okay, the 5 ranges: the kick range, the punch range, the headbutt elbow range, the stand-up grapple range, and the ground range. Now, the headbutt elbow is an interesting case because it's not actually a range where you may want to hang around in, but you have to be conscious of it because there are fighters who they specialize in headbutts and elbows.
Like
and
Nathan Corbett, for example.
Nathan Corbett, boy, oh boy, I've refereed a few of his fights, and he's absolutely one of the best stand-up ring fighters that I've ever seen. And his elbows were incredible. So his name came up because when we were discussing the topic today and we mentioned the 5 ranges and we got to the headbutt elbow range, we both laughed and said Nathan Corbett. Okay, so, there are experts at all the different ranges. The thing about the headbutt elbow range, though, is it also includes biting. Now, if you're talking about fighting for survival, biting's a very realistic thing. If you're not being bitten, you should be biting. The main thing to remember about the headbutt elbow range is that you have to be very conscious of the dangers of it, even if you don't use them yourself. If you've done enough training, you'll automatically start to use your elbows and your headbutts, and we'll demonstrate why the correct head position is vital in terms of not being bitten. Okay, if you want to, getting bitten is no fun at all. So it's very important that you're conscious of that range. So we have to know how to transition from one range to the next. If you're fighting a good kicker, then you don't want to get stuck outside. Whenever I think of good kickers, I think of 4 or 5 people: Gary O'Neill, Steve Vick, Ian Jacobs, Dominic Delaney. All those 3 guys all came from the same incredible gym. But they're all guys, I've refereed all of them, and I can tell you they're amongst the best kickers in the history of fight sport. So they're very good kickers. And if you hang around that kicking range, you're going to get beaten. So you have to know how to transition from the kick range into the punch range, or from the kick range straight into range 4, the stand-up grapple, or even from the kick range straight to the ground. So the 5 ranges: the kick range, the punch range, the headbutt elbow range, the stand-up grapple range, or the tegumi gyakute range, and the ground range. But here's the interesting thing, which I believe is very important, and it's maybe other people use it too, but I came up with the term each range trumps the range before it. Because if you want to beat a good kicker, you need to move into the punch range. If you want to defeat a good puncher, you need to move inside and tie up the punches. If you want to deal with a good stand-up grappler, usually the easiest way is to take them to the ground. And then if you're stuck on the ground, the circle is complete. As stand-up fighters, you primarily want to make sure that you get back up again from the grapple range to the stand-up range. So we're going to demonstrate a few of those things for you now. And Senpai Mitch, is it your birthday today?
No.
What?
He said early. It's
when
coming
is it?
up.
When?
It's later.
When?
It's on the weekend.
On the weekend. Yeah. Happy birthday.
Thanks.
Turns 32.
Us, I wish.
Okay. So we're going to demonstrate that for you. Give us 1 second. I just noticed there's a lady in the gym there, and she's the bench. So we're just going to return the bench to her, and we'll keep going with what we're doing. Okay, so the 5 ranges. I'll say hello to everyone. We're waiting for Mitch to come back. Us, Jan, Mac, Rochelle, Mel, nice to see you. Marco, Us, Sensei Mike, sunny Western Australia. We get a news report on the weather in Western Australia every week when Sensei Mike comes online. Us, Chrissy, Al, and happy birthday for the weekend. Okay, so let's look at it briefly. So we start in range 1. Oh, and by the way, I just thought Solsai said you can't permit yourself to be ignorant of other groups. And this is this is the direct quote right here. I'll read that to you. I have not permitted myself to be ignorant of any martial art that exists. Why? Such ignorance is a disgrace to someone who follows the path of Buddha. You see, every fighting art and every fighting sport, trains within a framework of rules. If it's unarmed combat, the rules are very scant, like virtually no rules. But even when you train for it, there are certain rules. And then you have, for example, all the fight sports, the boxing, the wrestling, the freestyle wrestling, the Greco-Roman wrestling, the Taekwondo, the Kyokushin, the karate, the kickboxing, the Muay Thai. They all train within a framework of rules. So that means that wittingly or unwittingly, you tend towards the limitations of those rules. So this is why we have to be conscious of other martial arts. And that's when Solsai said, I haven't permitted myself to be ignorant of other martial arts because doing so is simply dangerous. Us, Hammer. Is that you, Mark? Just a question mark. Us. Anyway, so let's have a quick look now at some of these techniques. So if I'm confident in my kicking defense, if I'm confident in my kick defense and I'm a good kicker too, I might want to stay in the kick range. But if he's a strong kicker and I start to get kicked, well then I need to move inside the kick range. So that good kicks, I have good defense. Good defense is based on a solid sturdiness in your body. Okay, so I need to be able to move in with the body kick. I'm actually going to take that body kick and move in to the punch range. Okay, I can come underneath and move in, or I can simultaneous. So as the kick comes, I block and hit at the same time. So I'm here, boom, there like that. I've used that with success in tournaments. Back in 1987, I think, in Australia versus New Zealand. I hit and caught the kick with the thigh block and punched at the same time. So there's that simultaneous possibility as well. Simultaneous under here as well, I take it. But the most important thing is I need to be able to deal with those kicks so that when I'm ready, now, boom, I can move into the punch range. Okay? And if I'm comfortable as a puncher, I'm going to stay there. But the whole idea of the ranges is that each range trumps the range before it. So that means that if he's a good puncher and he's hurting me, well, I need to be able to come in and tie this range up. Now I've gone straight into headbutt, elbow range. Here's why the head position is very important. Okay, we're going to come a little closer so you can see it. In wrestling, they call it dominant head position. I mean, in a real fight, or in a street fight, if you like, I can't be ear to ear like this because it's very easy for Mitch just to turn around and bite my ear off. Okay? And guys will bite under pressure, there's no doubt about it. So that's why I need to have my forehead on his neck. So now when he tries to turn to bite me, he can't. Let's switch the other side so you can see. So I'm here, I have my head in. He tries to turn to bite me, I can stop that simply with my head. Okay, and as soon as he tries it in, as soon as I feel the pressure come off, I withdraw and I can headbutt because my head is in perfect position for a headbutt. Remember, a headbutt, you hit with the part of your head above the eye line against the part of the head below the eye line. So if I have dominant head, he's trying to bite me, he can't bite. At some stage, you'll feel a withdrawal of energy. That's when I just withdraw myself and I headbutt in there. Okay, now I need to get from this range, if you've been beaten there and you want to take it to the ground, you need to know how to transition. So let's look at that now. So we're in this situation, and there are lots of ways. I can take his leg for a single, I can take his leg for a high crotch, a double leg, a low. There's lots of ways. Or even an upper body takedown. Upper body takedowns are always better because in a real fight, I don't want to come here, he's going to knee me, punch me, do all kinds of things. Okay? So I want to come here, and if I can get to this position with dominant head, now he tries to punch me, what I can see that I can control this arm. I can control this here. So I want to close the gap, and here's one way I'm going to do it. Here, clear the arms. Remember, as Chojo Miyagi said, nothing in kata is arbitrary. Even the greetings have application. Okay, so here I am. Here's my greetings. Double, break out, there like that. What I'm going to do is drive my head in and arm around the leg for a single leg. Okay? If I can get the single leg, great. He goes down, I stay up. But if he has a good single leg defense, I'm aware of that. What I'm going to do now, watch this carefully. What I'm going to do is this arm, his defense is he has a shallow whizzer and he's pushing my head away. Why? Because the single works with my head pushing and my arms pulling. See that? So I pull my arms, push his head, and he'll eventually go to the ground as I spiral down. Okay? So to stop that, he removes my head pressure by pushing the head away. He removes my ability to pull his leg by preventing that with his own pull under my armpit. Okay? So I feel that, come in, go for the single, I feel that, and I immediately transition now to upper body control. See that? With dominant head. I don't want to be here. He headbutts me and it's all over. Okay? I want to be here for dominant head control. Now this is actually quite safe. You might say that he can knee me in the groin. No, you're not going to get it. It's just not going to, especially if I bring my hips in here like this. Okay? Can he bite me? He tries to bite me. Can he punch me? He can't punch me. If he tries to punch me with the other arm, I have this high elbow here. See that? Now watch what I do here. I've bridged the gap. I've gone from a failed single leg. He defends well. I use that as an opportunity to come up here with my dominant head. Okay? Now, watch what I do. I'm going to get my leg in front of his, but it's hard to do because as soon as I do that, he can just pull my leg, he can just pull me backwards and I'll lose balance. So I want to keep my feet on the ground as much as possible. So what I'm going to do is pull around here. See that? I'll just do it from this angle so you can see. I'm in this position, this leg's in front, then my left leg's behind. I want to change it. So if I want this leg to come forward, the simple principle is I move away from that leg. So I move away from that leg and the leg comes forward. Now this leg simply pops in front. Now I don't do a big sweep, I just do little short hops. Pull, push, little hop, little hop, little hop, little hop, boom. And I can go to the ground if I want. I can finish on the ground, and I can walk away. Okay? So the beauty of that technique is if you want to go to the ground, I'll go to the ground just so you can see. So come in here, pull, get right around, pull, take it to the ground, and I can follow him down if that's what I want to do. Alternatively, I can do exactly the same thing. Bang, change, turn around, boom, boom, boom. And I can stay here, and I can even put a knee on his chest. I can switch, put a knee on his head, finish, locks, do all that sort of stuff. Which, as karate guys, we may not know how to do it. So the most important thing is to keep your stability, maintain your balance, finish, and get back up again. Okay, now, but what if Mitch takes me to the ground? See, the whole idea of this is that we're not, as karate fighters, we want to be able to bring the fight back to the range that we're most comfortable with. So what if Mitch takes me to the ground? Well, then I need to know a simple way to get off the ground. Now, remember, you might have read in the book where Solsai was training judo and he realized that he just kept getting choked out. And the reason he kept getting choked out is because they would lock up his hip movement. So by realizing that that the footwork, which is the key to stand-up fighting, the footwork of the ground is hip movement. So you have to free your hips and you have to use available arm positions to return the flight as possible, isn't it? I just saw your message, they're getting up from the floor as fast as possible, a quick way. So the most important thing is don't go to the floor. The second most important thing is if you do go to the floor, do not go to your back. Okay? When you're on the back, if you've ever played rugby, you got caught under a scrimmage, flatten your back, you know how the pressure kills. So what we are going to do here is, as Mitch takes me down, I know that I've lost the stand-up battle. I'm going to the ground. So what I do is I position myself on the ground to defend against punches, defend against bites, defend against all kinds of things, headbutts. And then in that process of defense, I position myself so that I can get up safely and as quickly as possible. Remember, that's not always the speed, though, because it's more the control. Sometimes in the effort to get up quickly, you compromise your stability. So the most important thing is to get up with control at the right time, not necessarily at the fastest time. So let's see how we go with that. So here we are. We're going down close to the... Oh, I've got a better... yeah, no, that should be pretty good. Okay, so this time Mitch takes me down. Let's move back here. He takes me down. I defend the single. He's going to actually come up here and control me this time. Pulls me around, takes me to the ground, and look, I'm going down. First thing I'm doing is I'm bumping up on my side and I'm framing up on the inside. So Soulside described it as superior air space. So I need to have superior control on the inside position. So by that, coming this way, so people can see. By that, I don't want to be here. This is something that some people do, is they get to the ground and they're not sure what to do. So they actually come here and they help the guy hold you down. So this is not superior inside air space. What I need to do is create space on the inside. So let's move away so you can see my... So here, this is where I am. I'm actually fetusing up, and I have a frame. It's like doing my Hail Marys. I have a frame on the inside. If I can, I connect as much as my body as possible. So now when Mitch takes me down, and I end up on the ground, this is not a good position, but I have my frames on the inside. So that's the start. The last thing what I want to do is get hold of my head so I can crush my head. So I keep this hand here, okay? Now, we need to get up from here. And it's kind of counterintuitive. What I'm going to do is I use momentum on the legs and this hand here. I use momentum and I come on here. See that? By being here, I get a headbutt. Oh, he tries to headbutt me with my hands here. He can headbutt me all day. Can you see that? If my arms are here, he can headbutt me. Okay, so I bring this arm here. If I come here, he can punch me all day. Okay, so I come in here. So I framed up to prevent the headbutts and prevent the punches. Okay? What I do next is I'm going to create momentum, and this hand is I'm going to swing it underneath, and now my head is close to his chest. So it's hard for him still to punch me. Okay? And then what I'm going to do is simply kick and shoot the arm and come out the back door and stand up. Okay? So we'll do that once again so you can see. It's a simple drill. It looks more sophisticated than it is. So I'm in here, he takes me down. Oh, my defender single, but he's got a good counter to the single. Oh, he takes me down the ground. I immediately start to frame up. Okay? I have my frame. I'm going to come over here. See that? I don't have to grab the belt. I may not have a belt on. Okay, I'll come under here. I'm going to shot put and kick all at once, and then come up to this position. And from there, if he comes in towards me, boom, I can hit. If he goes away, I can back off as well. Okay, so that's a really effective, simple way to get back up. The problem is we get a little bit frightened of being in a place that we're not familiar with. So what we do is we tend to freak out and hold on.
Yeah.
And that's the worst thing you could do. You want to control the inside space. As also said, you're looking for superior airspace. Superior airspace is controlling this area here, controlling this area here, the armpits, and on ground, controlling this area between the legs. On the stand-up. On the ground, you're looking to control here, here, and the armpits. They're your major areas of control. So if you go to the ground, or if you start to get taken to the ground, one of the best things you can do is, as he starts to take you, is look for these underhooks here. See that? I have this underhook. And if you watch wrestlers, they're masters at getting those underhooks. They won't lift their arms. They'll actually come in with their hands like this, really short. And you look at Greco-Roman wrestlers, and they'll even come to the point here where they're coming here and they're controlling this armpit here. Or if they grab the other arm, they'll hip in like this, and they're getting control of the space between the legs, in the chest, and under the armpits. Boys, that's it. Yes, you're right, Mark. There's a little bit of a shrimp involved, but the way I see shrimps is that they're actually a form of a bridge, so they're all quite similar in many respects. So we'll look at it with my head here. So when Mitch comes in, the worst place I can be is flat on my back with no inside control. That's the worst place to be. If you end up there, you have to spend as much energy as required to get back inside. For karate guys, it may be that you bite the ear. But remember, the one who's in control is the one who bites. So if you bite it and you can't get out, you're in big trouble. Okay? So what I need to work on is somehow regain that inside space so I can come back here again. Okay? With a little bit of training, with even a little bit of training, there is no reason why you can't regain inner space, and also there's no reason why against 99% of the human race, you won't end up in this position. With just a little bit of training, knowing that I have to frame up, I have my frames, I have my frames and I'm connected. This is the kind of shape that I want. If I can get used to this type of frames, every time someone takes me down, I stay off my back and I frame up. Okay, so Mitch is taking me down. What I'm going to do is immediately, one, prevent him from getting to my head. I don't want him to touch my head. Two, this arm here, which I have a frame on his chest, okay, to stop him from biting, from headbutting, and so on.
And you also have a knee frame here too.
Yeah, I have my knee on his belly as well. Okay, but even without that knee, this frame's pretty good. And because of gravity and his weight, this arm will eventually give way. So what I'm going to do is come under, here, and there. Okay, and there's a little bit of a shrink here, if necessary. So what I'm going to do is shot put that up. See what happens? I don't pull him. There are ways to do that. But I'm going to shot put him to get his weight over my head, and I'm going to add a kick in his butt, so that I'm going to combine the shot put and the kick to create space. My arm goes stiff, and the reason it goes stiff is because if he tries to come back in the top of it, the stiff arm is pretty strong. And then take it to the stand-up once again. Okay? So that's a really simple way that you can train in your dojo to work on how to get up when you're taken down. You don't want to get mounted, you don't want to get them on your back, but these guys are experts at that. So, of course, when Solsai says that I didn't allow myself to be ignorant of any martial art, he didn't mean that you had to become an Olympic gold medalist wrestler or an Olympic gold medalist boxer. He just simply meant you need to understand that every style has its strengths and weaknesses, as Rico Ciparelli, my wrestling coach, said, all forms are fluent. They all have strengths, okay? And you need to be conscious of those strengths. You can narrow them down, if you like, to 6 or 7 things. What are the main strengths of a wrestler? Man, if a wrestler gets hold of you, you're in trouble. So what do you need to do? You need to maintain that range 1 and range 2. If he takes you to the ground, you need to bundle up and get back up as quick as you can. Good kickers. What do? Well, you move inside the kicking range. Good punchers, even boxers, good boxers, if they start to get whacked, the first thing they do is they tie up their opponent's arms. They move in to the next range. And if they're good stand-up grapplers, well, then you need to take them to the ground before they take you to the ground. Okay? So I hope you got something out of that. That's just a simple view of the 5 ranges. Each range trumps the range before it. Against a kicker, move into the punch range. Against a puncher, move into the headbutt, elbow, stand-up grapple ranges. Against a good stand-up grappler, you need to take them down. You don't have to go down with them, but you need to take them to the ground. Okay, and there's a lot of ways that you can learn to take people down without going with them. A lot of judo throws, there's no one in the world throws like judo guys, but they're not really practical for the street because you end up on the ground with them. Okay, so you need to learn. Karate has their approach to throwing is throw them down but stay on your feet because you need to maintain that dominant stand-up position, which is where karate guys fight from. Okay, so there we have it. I'll just go through some of the messages. Al, was Hammer, Gary Huang, was nice to see you. I hope you got my email. Roland, how are you? All the way from sunny Perth. Was Ross? Oh, it's Hammer. Oh, okay. It's Ross Cameron. I thought it might have been Mark Hammer Castanini. Okay, I was getting up from the floor. So we covered one way. Of course, it's horses for courses. If he's in a different position, you've got to get up in a different way. Sometimes you go out the back door, sometimes you go out the front door, sometimes you just push him over either side. Our elbows and knees together, touching, yes. That's one of the best fundamental rules you can work on to create a frame on the mat is connect your elbows and knees. Woos. Thanks, Rochelle. Woos. Well, I think which martial arts does range 4 best, which is the stand-up grapple, I would say Greco-Roman wrestling. It's Greco-Roman wrestling. The reason is the Greco-Roman wrestling rules don't allow you to attack the legs. So it's all about how you manipulate the upper body and take them down from there.
The new rules of judo are similar, though. They don't let you attack the legs either. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So even stand up with a gi on, judo guys are extremely at range 4. Without a gi, judo guys are good. But because the rules of judo, they favour range 4, they're on the ground as, say, a BJJ or a catch wrestler is on the ground. They're really good on the ground. Well, guys, thank you very much, Mitch. Good to see you. And we look forward to seeing you again next week. Hope you got something out of that. Please subscribe, and if you have subscribed, just right-click on the image, save the link, and put it in your socials. That'll help us a lot. We're just trying to grow our channel to 10 million now. We've decided.
Your goal.
Yep, we've nearly got 3,000, so only 9,996,000 or 97,000 to go. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it very much, and it's always good to see you. See you next time.